Michelle Thomson is Member of Parliament for Edinburgh West. Thank you for speaking with us here on France 24. Your reaction to what you just heard, that despite the pronouncements of the First Minister where you are, that triggering of Article 50 could happen as soon as tomorrow.
Yeah, well, let's be clear. We're not at any point trying to stop democratic processes that people have voted for in the rest of the UK. Nicola Sturgeon, the First Minister of Scotland's announcement was all about ensuring the democratic voice of the Scottish people are held, and hence the call for another independence referendum. Fair and good, the rest of the UK, we recognise that, voted to leave the European Union. Scotland, as said in your package, by a clear majority voted to stay, and it's that we want to see recognised.
Scotland voted to stay. Polls suggest that if there were a referendum tomorrow, you'd have roughly the same outcome as you did in 2014. So why trigger this process which could bring uncertainty?
Well, I mean, excuse me, we're hardly living in a certain world at the moment. It's extremely uncertain. I mean, frankly, the UK government's all over the place in trying to manage a mess of their own making in putting this vote to the UK people. So we'll set that aside. The other important point is that the starting point for the last independence referendum was considerably lower. And we believe over time, as people see just the frank mess that's being created, there's uncertainty at UK level over absolutely everything. And I would argue it's a more certain position for people in Scotland to remain within Europe. We understand the processes, we understand the dynamic, than it is to be rushed headlong into a world that we have currently no information about at the moment. We don't understand how trade's going to operate and so on. So I actually think it's a considerably more certain position for the Scottish people.
All right, but we have a precedent where Brussels told the people of Catalonia, hang on a second, if you opt for independence, you're going to have to renegotiate everything from scratch. So come what may, it still will be uncertainty for Scotland.
Well, let's be clear here. The people of Catalonia are entirely different. There is an absolute recognition that the United Kingdom was made up of a number of nations, of which Scotland was an existing nation before the UK was formed and will once more again. We are already members of Europe, and we're not looking to go anywhere. Also, if you look at the latest announcements, much more positive endorsement from people within Europe. They recognise that the people of Scotland believe themselves to be strongly European, both by trading but also by philosophy. I do not believe for a minute they would seek to throw people who are already part of Europe, who want to remain part of Europe, out of it. There can be no comparison with the situation with Catalonia.
Now, what if Westminster says no to this request for a referendum?
How likely is that? I mean, for goodness sake, this, again, you said in your package, 68% of the Scottish people voting strongly to remain part of Europe. Also, there'll be a vote in the Scottish Parliament. We already know both the Scottish National Party, the largest party, and the Scottish Greens will vote in favour, giving a majority. Is Westminster really going to say and seek to overwrite the democratic wishes of the Scottish people, particularly when it was so clear in the SNP manifesto that if there were to be a material change of circumstances, such as Scotland being dragged out of Europe against its will, that they would indeed, they always stated they would trigger a vote. I cannot see it happening. Yet it might be they have the power to do that, but politically that is explosive. And of course, Theresa May's already got battles in Northern Ireland. She's about to go into a very messy negotiation, I believe, with the 27 member states of Europe. And now she's got Scotland. Frankly, she's got too many battles in her hand, and she's not really doing very well in any of them.
All right, so Michelle Thomson, if Theresa May, under the pressure of this announcement that we've just heard from the Scottish First Minister, eases up, goes for a softer Brexit than she's implied so far, will you still be pressing for that second referendum?
Well, what we're looking for in Scotland is this all-important single market. I mean, there's a bit of a debate. What do we mean by a hard Brexit and a soft Brexit and all the rest of it? As it stands at the moment, there has been no proper engagement from the UK government to the Scottish Government to recognise the wishes of the Scottish people. There's been no formal response to the Scottish Government's document, Scotland's Place in Europe. Let's see what happens, but certainly what we're feeling in Scotland at the moment is game on. This is democracy. We need to make our voices heard. We want to remain part of Europe, and that's the basis on which we're proceeding.
Michelle Thomson, many thanks for speaking with us.
Okay, thank you.